Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, but we started Together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate for a cure for all those battling PD today and their families, because no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is someone who means really a lot to me and many of you, but really is the reason I keep fighting in his family members' memory and my mother. I hope they're together right now, smiling down on all of us and you listening, because there is still hope. And because of our credible guest, Congressman, just an honor to have you. I believe that we still have a lot of work to do, but with individuals like you leading the way, I feel very confident we'll have a cure soon. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, George. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry about your mother. Uh, yeah, I lost my brother about a year and a half ago. My mother-in-law, a little over a year. And of course, my dad has Parkinson's, and I lost my uncle uh, in many years ago in the early 90s, and at a young age. So it's near and dear to my heart, and we are going to find a cure because we have a lot of wonderful people like you, George, that care. And we have some great researchers, physicians, what have you, that do wonderful work. And I'm here to continue to advocate until we find the cure. Michael J. Fox, the foundation, the fact that you're doing this and any funds go to the foundation, it's really incredible. Uh, Only in America do we have people like this. I mean, we care about others. We care about our neighbors. And everywhere you turn, you hear about someone that's been diagnosed recently. And what about the ones that we don't know about? So, I'm committed. I'm committed to finding a cure.
Well, giving us time today means the world to me because it shows that we can all make a difference. But I do feel together our voices are so much stronger. I hope for to ask you for your permission to dedicate today in memory of your brother Emmanuel, but also all those who lost their battle that we don't ever want to be forgotten due to Parkinson's.
Thank you, George. I appreciate it. My brother was a physician. Uh, he was a wonderful person. He was a primary care physician and kind of like a throwback doctor. He even did house calls. Uh, and then he had to retire, worked at the VA as well, and then had to retire due to this disease, this awful disease. And then he lost his life. He had a great family, young family, and it was all about family, uh, church, going to God, and of course caring for his patients.
Yeah, he was very young, like my mother. She was only in her 60s also. I was wondering if you could recommend or think of any ways we can offer more support for those who lost a loved one due to PD, because obviously we concentrate a lot nationally on those who are battling it today and their caregivers. But I wonder, I find a lot of lack of support, unfortunately, for those who lost a loved one due to PD.
Yeah, well, obviously, therapy, is very important. I also think that the fact that what you're doing is important. Others can, if they can emulate what you're doing by giving back to the community and that their loss is not in vain. And the fact that you're speaking up and help trying to help the organizations like Michael J. Fox, it really makes a big difference. It really does. Uh, and again, meeting on a regular basis with others who have lost their loved ones and sharing the stories and talking to legislators, both on the state and of course local, but federal level, and more importantly, uh, because we have access to well the appropriations process and legislation, forming these groups, various groups, including the care, the caregiver. It's so very important. The advisory council is what I'm speaking of. That was in the bill that passed. I guess it's been about a year now. Um, it was really the highlight of my career to work with other members of Congress, like Congressman Tomko and others, and we wouldn't give up. And it wasn't that easy. You know, you think in Washington, maybe this would be an easy thing to get done, particularly since there were no appropriations tied to this particular bill. But it wasn't easy to get both parties together. But we didn't give up. In the name and memory of my brother, Dr. Emmanuel Bilirakis, and then also another wonderful member that worked with me on this particular bill as well. She's just an outstanding person. And we named the second half of the bill after her too.
Yeah, I often think certain times in a person's life, there's certain, very rare, but there's memories and moments that you kind of never forget. And I'm not going to tell you the honest truth. I literally cried, and I actually came out of a fourth back surgery right out of anesthesia and found out that I saw you speaking. And my family hugged, cried, and, obviously it might be too late for my mother, but we were so happy that others now have hope that they won't have to suffer like many have or feel alone. So I'll never forget literally that moment when you were speaking and saying congratulations about the bill passing. It's one of the moments, like my marriage with my wife, my children being born, that I'll never forget. So I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my whole family's heart and everyone in the Parkinson's community and outside of it for all that you've done and have continued to do for this movement.
Thank you, George. I really appreciate it very much. And again, we're in this together.
Yeah.
We're in this together, and we are going to find a cure. And thanks to Michael J. Fox, because he came out very early, if we have people like him speaking out, and there are others too, other celebrities and others that are very well known in our communities that are speaking up. We're concerned, the caregivers, and my mom has Alzheimer's. So it's very difficult. And there are other diseases that are similar to Parkinson's, Parkinsonian diseases and ALS as well. We find a cure for Parkinson's. I know that we can make some critical advancements in curing these other diseases as well, or at least finding treatments where the symptoms alleviate a lot of the symptoms. So we're never going to give up. But I appreciate we're all on the same team, George.
Thank you. And you mentioned the most important thing in my lifetime really is the national plan to end Parkinson's disease. And you mentioned how it wasn't always easy and took many years. It wasn't something simple. I think it's important on policy. I myself am an attorney in Florida. I'm a police officer reserve now and a PhD, but we've just talked about our mission is to really change the world of law enforcement, which I don't think has been a topic touched much on right now in most academies throughout the United States. They mention Alzheimer's and dementia, but the words Parkinson's disease does not exist. And my dream would be through the book we just wrote on, would be to add those two words, Parkinson's disease, to every academy in the country. But obviously it's just me and it's not easy. But I just admire you through the bill to bring attention and awareness nationally. Hopefully there's other things we could even, work on in the future.
Oh, absolutely. I look forward to being on your podcast again and then working on these issues together and, in the veterans community. Particularly our Vietnam vets are being diagnosed with Parkinson's as well. And we have the presumption, which is, an advancement. My father worked on a lot of these issues for many years in Congress as well. So, but George, I really appreciate you very much. And hopefully we'll be able to meet personally too. You said you're in Florida, and work on these particular issues with regard to law enforcement as well. Our heroes are, of course, our law enforcement officers and our veterans, and our first responders in general.
Yeah. And what are your recommendations? I know that with the national plan, everybody really had a great opportunity once in a lifetime to be involved and speak to their representatives. But how do you feel others or citizens or residents around the country can still be involved now that the plan has passed?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, we're getting people, real, very qualified people to physicians, scientists, what have you, but also caregivers and those who were diagnosed with Parkinson's to be on this advisory council. Uh, and again, the allocations, the appropriations are very important. So uh, with the research and involving the private sector as well. It takes the private sector and of course the public sector to get this done. But we can't do it with people without people. We need people like you, George, continue to fight in your mother's memory.
I appreciate it. I did want to just share a few things as we wrap up, and everyone can go to Together with Sharon and follow. Tried to put a little timeline of the national plan because it can get a little complex, but you'll see here the bill and all the incredible work the congressman did all the way up to, you can click on these links, everyone, to see when it actually passed. I also hope we can support the congressman and all he does, and I love that he's so kind of welcoming, also is welcoming on social media. You can add him and follow and support all that he does daily on his website, also on X. They change the name every week, and Instagram and also Facebook, but we'll share all those links. And the congressman took some beautiful time and really, again, I'll never be able, words won't express how much this time together means. And just knowing you're out there fighting for everyone throughout the world, the 1.2 or more, I feel, million battling Parkinson today, for the millions who lost their battle, and so many more like myself who sometimes feel alone, but with you allowing me this opportunity, it ensures that I know that I'm not alone. So just
Thank you,
wanted to
George.
thank you.
Well, I couldn't have done it without Mr. Tonko, as you know, and Jennifer Wexton, who has something similar to Parkinson's, and she worked hand in hand with me, and it was a bipartisan effort. So, and we named the second half of the bill after Jennifer too. Wonderful, wonderful lady. Well,
I
thank
hope
you
someday
so
to
very much, George.
I
Appreciate
hope
it.
someday to meet her too, because I appreciate all she did.
She's
I do have
great.
a message for you, Congressman, and everyone listening. We love you, we support you, we care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I will
Thank you.
advocate along with the congressman for you, and I feel together our voices are so much stronger. And I'm just getting started because even though through tough times, government, life, and things happening worldwide, I see this congressman working so diligently and vigorously for all of us, and it keeps me going. So just want to thank you again, Congressman. What an honor, and I hope this can be to be continued instead of the end of this.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, George. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you
Yeah,
everyone for listening. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. Please stay tuned. We have so much more to come because we still have a lot of work to do. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.